And welcome to the Bella Vista Gardening Program. With me today is Diane Cobb. She is also a member of the Bella Vista Garden Club, and she's a fellow Master Gardener. And we will be talking today about container gardenings with Diane. And we're also telling you what's going on in the gardening community, the events coming up, and what to do in your garden in June. If you missed the Bella Vista Garden Club plant sale May 1st, you missed a good opportunity to buy wonderful plants at great prices. But if you still want to buy the plants, we take our remaining plants to the Village Wastewater Center, Village Wastewater Company of 71, and we can sell the plants there. The office there is open Monday through Friday, I think 8 to 4, something like that. And Diane, you had some of your plants in the plant sale this year.
I did indeed. I have mostly shade plants, so mine were shades and a lot of the native plants.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what makes this sale so great, is the diversity of gardens of our club members. You can get any kind of plant, from trees to perennials, annuals, vegetables, just anything you're looking for.
Right.
I was by the center yesterday, the wastewater, and there's a great stock of all kinds of lilies and shrubs and lots of hostas.
You have lots of hostas left. Good.
So there's still lots of plants there, so they're available. Wonderful plants, great prices.
Right, right. So we've been selling a lot of plants over the years, and take advantage of that, because the prices at the nurseries are really going up.
And you know, you have healthy plants and the money goes to a good cause.
Yes, it does. It goes to our scholarships and our beautification activities.
Yes.
Now, the upcoming events for June, June is a great time for garden tours, and the Bella Vista Garden Tour won't be held this year because we alternate with our flower show from year to year. And there is a garden tour this year given by the Flower Garden and Nature Society, and that's going to be on June 5th. That'll have 7 gardens from Fayetteville to Rogers, and the price is $15. The tickets can be purchased at Westwood Gardens in Rogers. And John Harris Garden is on the tour, and John Harris is a fellow Master Gardener, been very active in the Master Gardener program, and he has a wonderful garden.
He does, and he has utilized a lot of the garden sale plants.
He has a lot of the Bella Vista Garden Club plants.
Are right there.
And every time he comes to the sale, he finds plants that he doesn't have in his garden. So he's always, filling his garden with more plants from the Garden Club.
That's right.
Okay, and if you're watching the show before June 12th, you have an opportunity to attend our flower show this year. Every other year we have a standard flower show. It has 40 Diane has 40 design exhibits. And a lot of horticulture. And this year we have 3 educational exhibits. Diane, you're doing one of them.
I'm doing one on a backyard habitat.
How to develop that.
How to develop that. We have one on natural gardening. Going green is big, we all need to do this, eliminating chemicals from our gardens. So come and learn. The name, it's Village Vistas.
Village Vistas is the name.
Wonderful. And we have food.
Yes, free food.
Free food. So come enjoy the displays and have a little bite and learn something.
Well, also, I'm doing the exhibit for recycling.
Recycling,
So there's another education on we have to recycle. We have to, save the earth. So anyway.
Yeah.
So that's going to be June 12th. And then, like I said, if you miss it, you'll have to wait 2 years to see our next show. The last 3 shows we've had, the flower shows, have won national awards.
Yes.
And that is amazing to win 3 in a row. So we're going to go for number 4. We'll just keep our fingers crossed. It's going to be a wonderful exhibit, and some of the staging this year is going to be over the top.
Yes. And
Linda Niemeyer does
this is the club's gift back to the community.
Right.
It's our way of saying thanks for the support we've received through the years.
Right. So, and I think one of our staging is a canoe.
It is.
So we'll have designs in a canoe. So come and see the canoe.
Village visits.
Okay. Also in June, there's going to be a daylily blooming sale. The Ozark Hills Daylily Club is holding its blooming sale on Saturday, June 19th at Village Wastewater, and it's from 8 to 1. They have wonderful daylilies. They're all potted, and most of them should be in bloom. If they're not in bloom, they'll have a picture of what the bloom looks like so that you can see what you're buying. It's going to be a great sale.
That is so helpful. It's always good to know what you're taking home.
Right.
Yes.
And okay, and then another project that the Master Gardeners gets involved in is the Meet the Masters, and they film a Master Gardener in their garden and show these DVDs at our regular meetings, and we just look forward to those so much. I just love those segments. And today we're going to show you one. It's Becky Elliott, and she is being introduced by Geri Davis, another Master Gardener, and Becky lives in Bella Vista. So this was filmed in 2008, and we can go see, enjoy a visit in Becky's garden.
Meet Becky.
Today we're going to feature Becky Elliott, Master Gardener, and we're visiting her garden and home here in Bella Vista. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful day today. Becky is a good friend of mine. She introduced me to the Master Gardener program last year. She and I worked together doing landscaping and maintenance at Restoration Village and Children's Advocacy Center in Little Flock. And I know you're going to enjoy today being with Becky.
We moved out to Bella Vista and have lived on this property 6 years ago in May. We spent the first 2 years renovating the house, actually the first year or so, and then the next year was just kind of getting settled in. And then about 3.5 years ago, we decided to start on the backyard, which was a pretty big undertaking since it was almost all just green moss and tree roots. I would guess from the beginning the biggest challenge that we faced was the fact that there was no vehicle access to the backyard. So we did have to wheelbarrow every load of dirt, topsoil, compost, mulch, you name it, everything had to be wheelbarrowed back here. And so that has been a challenge from the beginning. I didn't know anything about growing anything really, and I had to learn. That's why I wanted to take the Master Gardener class, because I knew that I didn't know what I was doing at all. I just knew that I loved it. I'm not sure what my garden style is. I like to think it's maybe a little cottage garden, but I don't really know the official definition of that. I know that I just like to make little sitting areas here and there for people to just come out and have a little retreat type atmosphere. I would probably call it a casual garden, if there is such a thing. I don't know. My favorite perennial list would go on and on because I absolutely love so many of them. Probably my favorite is, and this is so corny, but the Becky Shasta daisies. Perennial of the year back in 2003. One of the first things that I found, and of course my husband just thought I had to have those. So I bought a couple of gallon pots, and they were successful because I happened to put them in the right place. And now they've been split about 2 times, and I've got them in almost every bed. I have found a lot of my perennials at really 2 places. One is White River Nursery in Elkins. They've just got really healthy, big, especially hostas. And then perennials, etc. You can't beat perennials, etc. And then Corinne at Compton Gardens has sold me numerous things through the plant sales, and every one of them are just loving where they're at. And then Kitty up at the wastewater treatment plant, I've gotten a lot of great looking hostas there. I've only visited a couple of public gardens, and one is the Ewing Kauffman Memorial Garden in Kansas City, which I go back to every time I'm in Kansas City, just because it's a beautiful garden. And I would encourage anybody, it's close enough, it's only about 3 hours away, and I would encourage anybody to go there. It's right off the plaza in Kansas City, and it's absolutely beautiful any season of the year. My favorite season of the year for gardening is just summer, because generally the hard work's over. You know, you've cleaned the beds, you've mulched them, everything has come up, you've watched diligently to see that everything that you planted last year is coming back, and it starts to fill in, and everything starts to bloom, and you just sit back and enjoy it. And then I go around and start pulling the Japanese beetles off of the crepe myrtle and the roses, and just drown those little puppies, and the world's happier. Probably the one thing that most people wouldn't know about me unless you worked at Walmart with me, which I did for 20 years. I retired from there 2.5 years ago, was the fact that I worked directly for Mr. Sam Walton, during the years of 1989 and 1992 when he passed away in April. I was privileged to have the position of being his personal assistant, and it was an opportunity of a lifetime, kind of wild at moments, especially on those few trips that I took with him in the plane, because he flew the plane. And for those of you who would know him well, you knew that he didn't really warm the plane up. He'd just get in and turn the engine on and off you went. And so it was a little bit nerve-wracking at times. In fact, probably the most nerve-wracking moment was either the time he ran off the runway in Versailles, Missouri, or the time we were coming into Tulsa in a terrible wind and rainstorm. And the plane literally was coming in sideways, and he was just calm as a cucumber, and I was scared absolutely out of my mind. And at the last minute, though, he landed it straight as an arrow. So he was a good pilot. He had to be, to have stayed alive all those years, flying himself all over the country, and that definitely was what he preferred to be doing. But it was, like I said, an opportunity of a lifetime, and probably not something that a lot of people know about me.
Wasn't that a wonderful section?
Amazing,
I just
yes.
love those segments because there's so many different, unusual, interesting
goodness.
stories that people have in their
Yes.
lifestyles. And
Such diversity, and yet, you know, every one of them ended up in a garden.
yes,
Isn't
they
that
all end up
wonderful?
in the garden.
All of those
So
stories led them to a garden.
that's
It's
right.
just grand.
So I just love those segments. And Beth Strickland is the one that handles that that program for the Master Gardener. She does a wonderful job with
amazing
that.
job.
And I think today we were going to talk about container gardening.
Containers, yes.
Most people have their annuals in and their beds cleaned up, most people.
Most people.
And now I think, you know, it's a good time to be doing your containers
Yes.
and using different types of plants instead of just
Right.
annuals.
Absolutely. And the scope for plants that you can put in a container is just anything you could want.
That's right.
You can take a window box and have a butterfly garden. You can have pots on your deck and have a vegetable garden. You can grow trees in pots, anything. You can grow them inside the house or out. It's just wonderful. So the plants, But when you do a container, you really want to select a good, healthy plant. Right. Start with a good, healthy plant. And then you'll know what size pot you need. Mm-hmm. And for vegetables, you can grow a nice, healthy tomato in just like even a gallon can grow a small tomato. Squash cucumbers, lovely in containers, cascading out. But if you do those, they use a ton of water.
They do.
You have to water them every single day. Ornamentals, of course, hanging baskets, very popular. I've hung the same, I do impatiens in a basket. I've hung at the same place every year, and now I have volunteers that come up.
Oh, you have those
underneath.
volunteers.
I have the volunteers.
Lorene Terry gets those volunteers. She gets thousands and thousands of
That's
impatiens every year, and I don't
Just
get any.
pop
I
it
don't
up.
understand it, but some people get those wonderful
It's just
containers.
at the right place, and so I just delight in that. But then again, that basket takes quite a bit of watering too. So you need to be aware.
But don't we get in that bad habit of putting the same thing in the same place?
We do.
There's so many
We
there's so many new annuals. There's so
Yes.
many combinations you can have. There's so many different areas you could light up your garden with a pot of, different type color or something.
Yes.
But we just get
Yes.
in
We
bad
do get in
habits
our
and ruts. Right.
Well, we find plants that we can deal with, that seem to work for us.
Right.
And I think everybody kind of has a specialty niche that they slide into. I have a neighbor who grows her vegetable garden on her driveway every year in pots. I kid you not. And she has the best vegetable harvest. She provides the neighborhood with all kinds of vegetables. So.
Yeah. Well, I grow my tomatoes in pots.
Do you?
Yeah, but I do the...
Do you do the upside down ones?
No, my neighbor was going to try that, but she said it's so heavy that you have to really have a good support for it, because you put all that soil in there and then you water it, and it's very heavy. So she tried it on one of those hooks, shepherd hooks, and it bent the hook. So it's a little difficult to grow those, I think.
That's an important consideration for any hanging basket, that you have a good, solid, strong support for it. And so that you can water it without making a big mess underneath.
Right.
And splattering all over your deck or such.
Right. Now, do you use the polymers when you plant your...
In some of them I do, and not all. Oh my goodness, potting soils. Oh my goodness. There is so many different kinds out there you can use. There again, you need to know your plant and what you're going to put in. I grow a lot of succulents, and I find that the real loose, not real rich soil and without any of the fertilizers is good.
Yeah, they don't like a lot of fertilizer.
Drains fast and leaves them a little drier. Whereas some of my ferns and some of those, they like a little more moisture, more organic matter. African violets, love that. So you've got all kinds of potting soils you can buy, or you can mix your own using some compost, and soil and sand, and make up your own. It works really well.
I usually amend my potting soil a little bit.
Yes, yes. Some of
So.
it is really rich. And I've tried the ones with the fertilizers incorporated in, and I find it throws me off. I'm not sure exactly when I need to re-fertilize.
Right. I'm not a real big fertilizer person.
Yeah, right,
I forget
exactly.
to fertilize, but I try to do it on a monthly basis,
Right,
and sometimes that works.
But for
Sometimes
some
it
people,
doesn't.
sometimes if you're just going to have a plant for the summer season, that might be an option.
Yeah,
for you
right.
to
Because I think
use.
it's a slow release fertilizer
It
they
is,
put in
it
there.
is. So
So-
it might do for a season.
And I've seen so many really wonderful pots with like parsley,
yes,
added
yes.
to the flowers, and it just gives a different texture, and it provides the black swallowtail butterfly
Oh yes.
with the host plant.
That's right.
So if you don't
That's
have
right.
parsley in your garden, you probably won't have the blacktail swallowtail butterflies. So if they eat your parsley, don't get too mad at them, and don't take them and get rid of them. They're
right.
wonderful. They're little
That's right.
caterpillars, and they're black and green and white little stripes.
Right.
And so if you see those aren't bad bugs. Those are the
No,
caterpillars that make the butterflies. So
And we want to protect our butterflies.
Yes,
You know,
we do.
We've destroyed a lot of our pollinators through use of insecticides.
Mm-hmm.
So come to the flower show and learn how to garden organically and
Right.
protect our pollinators.
because Tony
and
was on our
butterflies.
show a few months ago,
Was he?
and he talked about organic gardening. He is our
Excellent,
big
excellent.
organic gardener
Yes,
in the
he
garden
is.
club. Makes
Yes,
us all
he
feel
is.
guilty if we use anything that's not organic.
That's right.
So-
He's talked me into switching to cotton hull mulch. So I'm using cotton. And you know what? My plants are nice and healthy.
Yeah.
Don't know that I care for the look too much, but I can put other mulch on the top.
Yeah, just sprinkle a little on
Just
top.
sprinkle a little
Yeah,
top.
right.
But the thing about that is it's adding lots of organic matter into your garden, and I mulch my pots.
Oh, I
This
do
is very
too.
important
Yeah.
to mulch the tops of your pots, preserve all that water in there so they don't dry out so fast, stabilize the water, and it breaks down and adds nutrients.
Yes, it
So
does.
it's a win-win there.
And then you have the
And
probe.
you always want to make sure you have the right amount of water. You know, more plants die through overwatering than through underwatering.
Right.
And this is a water meter. You just put it in the pot and it'll register just exactly how much moisture is there so you know when to water.
Right.
So you can, this is real handy. You know, so many of us are away. We take holidays.
Right.
And if you have a neighbor that's watering your plants, you can say, water when the gauge hits a certain point, so they won't, in their exuberance, kill your plants while you're on.
Yeah, sometimes our neighbors are trying to be so
Thank you.
helpful,
That's
and they're
right.
not as helpful
That's
as
right. And
as
next
they
thing
think.
you know, they're all waterlogged,
Right.
and they're going, we were just trying to take care of them.
Yeah.
Well, now you have, it's a great tool. It's inexpensive, available at the garden centers.
Well, they
and,
were
very
at,
easy.
Walmart had the water meters for a while, and I haven't seen them at Walmart for a while. I don't know about Lowe's and Home Depot.
I picked
this one
up at Lowe's.
Oh, did you?
And this one also does the light and pH, but I only use it for the water.
Right.
It was the one that they had in stock. So
Yeah.
there you go.
It is
Very
a
handy
great tool.
Very tool. Yeah.
But anyway, we need to get our containers planted and
Yes.
monitor them, and don't overwater and
right.
deadhead them as they
Yes.
bloom.
Yes, you do.
And try to come up with some new varieties of
varieties,
things.
yeah. Try something different
Something
this
new
year.
this year.
That's right.
Well, the things to do in June that we need to do in our garden, it's a transition month basically between spring and summer. We've had our wonderful spring shrubs blooming, and it's all
Oh,
our
and hasn't it
bulbs.
been a spring for
It's been
blossoms?
beautiful.
Gorgeous
Everything's bloomed so well.
Yes.
And it's time to finish your plantings. I'm still putting a few more plants in. And you have to be sure you mulch after you plant. And the annuals, be sure to deadhead your annuals, because they're going to just continue blooming. The more you deadhead, pinch them back if they start getting leggy, you know, in the summer, and they'll look bad for a week or two, but they'll bounce back. And I have tried to put some of my annuals in different little pockets in my garden where I have a little empty space, just to give a little color here and there. So if I have a few
Right.
extra annuals that I didn't put in my pots, I'll sprinkle in the garden. And on herbs,
Herbs. I love to grow herbs. When we moved here, we came from Texas, and my husband wanted to grow basil. So we created a nice level bed, and we've grown basil every year.
I love basil.
We use it constantly. Basil, cilantro. We like that South American flavor, so we use cilantro, and it's just beautiful. And dill. I love to grow dill in my garden. It is the prettiest leafy. It just adds a nice touch. You can just tuck it in between plants and such.
Right,
And
and
that's
that's-
what you can do with so many of these herbs.
but that's a host plant for one of the
Yes,
butterflies too.
Yes,
Right.
yes. It adds motion and it's just wonderful. So, and when your herbs start to bloom is the time that you need to pinch them and dry them, and let them dry, crumble them, and then you have your dried herbs.
Yeah, and be sure to pinch off the blooms.
Always
because
pinch off the
that
blooms.
just
Yes.
they're going to seed when they
That's
start
right.
pinching off the blooms. Okay, and on your perennials, the daylilies will be blooming soon. Mine are setting
Yes,
buds,
yes.
and you can deadhead your daylilies as they bloom. I have a friend of mine, she live heads her daylilies. In the evening, she knows that that bloom is going to be dead in the morning, so she takes it off the plant that night, and you know, they are edible.
Oh, yes.
And
Yes,
she puts
indeed.
some of those little leaves in her salad,
salad.
or she just makes a little bouquet for her dinner table,
Very
and she
good.
enjoys the blooms at night because the next
Lovely.
day they're going to
They're
be
gonna be
gone, they're
gone.
going to be dead. So she
Marvelous.
live
Great
live
idea.
heads, she calls it. And then you have to remember to pinch back your mums till about July 15th so that
Right.
they're nice and compact and not leggy. Keep taking those little buds off on your bulbs. The spider lily and the naked lady, they call them naked ladies, they're
ladies,
surprise
yes.
lilies, basically. They can be planted for fall bloom. And be sure to remove your foliage from your spring planting blooms when they turn brown. Get those off of there. And you can make succession plantings of your gladiolas. If you plant one, you know, a couple one week and the next week plant another, then your blooms will be spread out a little longer. So basically, bulbs are,
Right.
there's a lot of
Yes.
new summer
Lots of bulbs. They're
coming
great.
up.
They're great. For your lawns, fertilize your Bermuda every 30 to 45 days and maintain a height of about 1.5 to 2 inches. Fescue needs to be a bit taller, 2.5 to 3 inches. And of course, water only once a week, 1 inch if it hasn't rained. 1 inch once a week.
You got to water
You
deeply
wanna
and not
water
just
deep.
surface, right?
For roses, you're going to watch for aphids and fungus. So catch on those. And June is when our Japanese beetles begin to show
Oh,
up.
and then I'm just
Of
waiting
course,
for them
yes,
to arrive.
They will be here, no doubt.
right.
So watch your plants for those.
Now, when
Trees
you
and
now
yeah.
when you feed your roses, you have to be sure they're watered,
Yes.
and don't try to feed them when they're, you know, put fertilizer on them when they're dry, because that could really burn the roots. So
Right.
try to, you know, make sure your roses are watered before you fertilize.
Right. You can use your handy tool
Yeah,
to
use
make
your little tool.
sure you've got them wet all the
Right.
way through.
Right.
For your trees and shrubs, if they're newly planted, you'll need to keep them watered again deep, about once a week. Keep the mulch back away from the trunk. That can lead to disease, fungus, and such.
Right, with so
you
much
need to clear
moisture
that
we've
out.
had
Yes.
this season, that
Very
mulch gets so
important.
wet, and if it's just right there against that tree,
Exactly.
it can rot that bark.
Really cause
cause problems.
And this is true with your azaleas and so many of your shrubs too.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to check on that. Keep your plants healthy.
Right. Now, for your vegetables, you have to monitor with your, monitor with
keep
your
your
little tool
little
and make
tool.
sure you don't overwater, and you want to fertilize
right.
your tomatoes, and then start harvesting your crops as they
yes,
come in.
Enjoy that.
They're just going to be
fresh
wonderful.
grown, healthy food.
That's right.
Yeah.
And speaking of healthy, you
and
have
healthy, yes, indeed.
little area.
Remember, before you go out into your garden, to apply your sunscreen, at least 30, and you want the ones that block the UVB and UVA.
both.
Both. You need both of those. The higher the number, the less often you'll have to apply
Right.
it. Put on your hat. Shield yourself.
Right.
You men, be sure you put your sun lotion on your ears and neck. Protect that.
Right.
Wear your gloves.
Watch for
any kind,
ticks.
And watch for ticks.
I had one last night.
And
Hydrate.
hydration.
So.
That's your motto for gardening. Drink
Right.
before you go out, and at least every half hour while you're working.
Right.
Very important.
Now, if you have any other questions about gardening in June, remember the Master Gardener Hotline is available Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 9 to 12 and 1 to 4. And you just call 271-1060 and you'll speak to a Master Gardener. And I think their website's been shown on the screen. And for more information on the Bella Vista Garden Club, you can go to their website. It's just bellavistagardenclub.com. And Diane, I want to thank you for joining me today.
You're
It was
welcome.
really
My
fun.
pleasure.
And I
My
hope we've,
pleasure.
given you some information you can use. And I hope you enjoyed the program, and we'll tune in again next month. And until then, don't forget to smile, and don't forget to stop and smell the roses.
Happy gardening.